Hello, JMC family. Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday evening. It's looking like it's still staying pretty out there for the last little bit of summer here. My name is Joshua Kent, and I am here for the next installment of Speaking with the Village. We have an awesome theme tonight, being welcoming a child into a new environment. And initially, I was going to have a few other people on here, but it's kind of a blessing and a curse, this work we do, because people had, their own self-care to worry about. They had other obligations they held on to, did a little extra work, took care of some other kiddos. So, just Josh all by himself tonight, but that's okay. I'm speaking with you guys, our village, about how we can help welcome a kid into our new environment. And feel free to leave comments below at any time. We have awesome and engaged social media. We'd love to chat with you about how we can help you. If you have some questions about welcoming a child into a new environment, whether it be your home or a different environment for them, especially a foster kiddo, contact us. We'd love to hear from you. So one thing that we have to consider first is where they're coming from. And there's a great video that I have here ready. It's called Child in Need, Child Ignored. And if you know me, I love my TED Talks. And so this was one, and he really does an awesome job of describing what it's like going in foster care for a kiddo. This is a great description of kind of the process of that feeling. He's describing one of his kiddos that he's had.
To the family, but imagine a 7-year-old girl, late at night, without any explanation. Caseworker shows up, perhaps the police. The child is removed from everything she knows. She's taken from her mother. She's taken from her father. Sometimes she's taken from her siblings. She's taken from her stuffed animals, her pets, her toys. She's removed from her bedroom, her house, her home. She's taken from her friends, her family members, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, her teachers, sometimes in school, her students. If she goes to church, everything she knows, late at night, without any explanation, and told, this is your new house, this is your new family. So what does that 7-year-old girl do? I'll tell you exactly what she does. She asks these questions. Why am I here? When do I go home? When will I see mommy and daddy next? Is it my fault that daddy comes into my bedroom at night and touches me in those places? Is it my fault that mommy hits me? Did I do something wrong? Do mommy and daddy not love me anymore? And as I struggle to answer those questions and comfort her, she cries herself to sleep. I have held so many children in my arms as they've cried themselves to sleep over the years. The next morning she wakes up. She doesn't know where the kitchen is. She doesn't know she's allowed to eat breakfast because food is not common in her house. She goes to a strange school with strange students. She's given math, a book to read, spelling words. She goes to the cafeteria. Everybody's laughing. She thinks they're laughing at her because she's now a foster child. She's walking in the hall. Someone bumps into her. Her books spill everywhere, and she screams out, I want to go home. That is how it is for a child placed in foster care. You can put aside all the abuse and the anxiety and trauma. It is a time of great trauma being placed into a home like mine. They are full of questions. They are afraid, and they don't know.
This section of the video really hits home because it's so true. We can really not know what the situation they had before them was, before they ended up in this safe and loving home that you've built for them. You don't know where they're taken from, what the norm was in their household, in their setting, in their community. And really that makes us, I think, nervous, and us being like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. And it's a big deal because we know that they've had some needs and some things not taken care of in their life. So one thing that when we are at JMC tend to focus on is we make sure we have priorities. Number one being the health and safety of the kiddos. So you got to check in with a kiddo when they're new in their environment, because you want them to feel safe and healthy. And then there's three kind of realms that I think we all need to check in on ourselves and in the kiddos in our home, is the physical, mental, and social. And that could be your physical health, your mental health, and your social health, being, how many friends you have, where you can reach out. And then the safety is within all those components too. So you want to make sure that you check in with them, asking specific questions like, hey, do you feel safe within your own thoughts by yourself? Physically, do you feel like this is a safe place? You need to check in with all those things. So health and safety, definitely that number one priority when you're welcoming a kid into your new environment. The next thing is you need to address their present needs. What are the needs they have? And you can start to look at it by the things they tell you, but there's also going to be behaviors that they present to you that show what their needs are. And you want to start kind of at here, or here. And this is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't know if any of you recognize this, but it tells like what are our most basic needs at the bottom. The things we need to do are having those biological and physiological things, food, sleep, water. We need to address those. I mean, that's part of health and safety. So those basic needs are definitely in that first step of providing health and safety, but then look past that. What are their psychological needs? Are they feeling loved? Are they feeling like they have friends? They've just been taken out of a situation that they might have felt very supported. They might have felt very loved. But then it ultimately looks at the top is, are they reaching their full potential? Do they really believe in their self fully, in what they're doing? And I think that's one of the things we do a great job at JMC is we start to look at them and say, what do you want to do? What are your goals? What are the things? What does that esteem say that you can do? Because usually it's pretty low. And unfortunately, and kids in new environments that they don't feel like they're worth, it's a pretty low esteem. But we tell them, you are capable. You are capable of doing great things, of being loved. And then just ultimately get to know them. When they're welcoming you into a new environment, you got to be that detective. You got to be asking the questions, kind of being a little oddball, like this detective over here. You got to say, what do you like to eat? What do you do when you're just by yourself? And, just saying, but Josh, it's a teen. Like, do they really want like me to get to know them in that way? Yes, of course. These teens, they want to just ultimately be loved. And and so, yeah, it might seem kind of silly at first. It might seem kind of like, oh, I'm just asking this teen what they like to eat for breakfast, but that's showing them that you care. And Dr. John DeGarmo, this fine speaker, he speaks very passionately about this right here. So let's check back in with John here.
Three things before she aged out of the foster care system. You see, when youth age out of foster care system, the statistics are very grim. In some states, it's 21 years of age. In some states, it's 18 years of age. The statistics are this. 55% of youth in foster care will drop out of high school when they age out. 65% of these youth will end up homeless. 75% of these youth will end up incarcerated at some point. And for so many, their own children starts the next generation as the cycle repeats itself. And I needed Sydney to hear three things before that happened. You are important, you are cared for, and you have family that will love you forever.
And that's just so true, is that every child deserves and needs to hear those things. And then those statistics, they aren't here to just scare or discourage you. They're just here to paint the picture of the reality of why there's so many stigmas about taking in teens, because they're hard, because they're this and they're that, and they're just bad kids. They've been this way their whole life. No, these have been survival techniques ultimately that they've had to adapt their tough life to survive. It's been reinforced through success. They've been successful by adapting this way in their life and having some of these tough behaviors. But it's ultimately because it's a reaction to stress, to trauma. And then another thing that people tell, kind of those false fears of teens is like, they're going to just tear up my house. It's going to be so horrible. Behaviors are taught. And really those, behaviors have taught them that they can, be crazy, be wild, and that can really control their environment or gain them access to what they want. If they're bad enough, maybe that they'll just give up and let me do it. But or just for attention, really ultimately they do all these things to serve a need. And it's a need that they haven't gotten filled somewhere else, or they've been taught this way through reinforcement that this need's filled by acting crazy, by being wild. So, and then another stigma with teens is that there's no time to make an impact. They're too old. They've run their life. From age 16 to 18, that's 100 weeks. That's 100 weeks of time that it just takes a minute to make a positive impact. Just to tell them, like Dr. John said, you are loved, you deserve to be loved. And really, ultimately, teens can be super daunting because they seem so close to the adulthood. But like I said, there's so much time. And really, you have to start to bring the reality of adulthood to them. Let them set goals. Bring them in and say, you're capable. Tell them, like, what are your goals? And we've had some kiddos who come in, they claim, oh yeah, I'm pretty much an adult. I can't wait to get out on the world. And, ultimately their plans are to live on the street, to do this. But at JMC, we instill them with the ability to succeed. And we want to show them you are capable, you're able to be loved. And these aren't, trade secrets. These aren't things that are crazy. We just do this. We just welcome them in with consistency, something they can really expect from us through like program schedules, just making sure that they're always engaged. We, kind of give them options too about what they want to do. I reached out to some of our staff here at JMC and I asked them, what are some things that you do to help kids feel welcome when they first come to their this new placement? It's super scary sometimes. Someone said choices and freedom. Give them freedom and control. These are teenagers who we deal with and who some of the toughest kiddos are to welcome into the home. They want control. They want to be that adult. Give them a little bit of that. Give them a taste of, hey, you can, do you want, wash clothes, do this. You have that option here. Provide them with the knowledge and then let them go. Let them make that choice and have some freedom. Another thing, encourage them to ask questions. You can sometimes feel like you're dominating that space. You're always talking, saying the things. Encourage them. Say, hey, come to me if you're ever curious about this or this. Kind of put yourself in their shoes, because that's also ultimately teaching them to become advocates for themselves. And if they can become advocates, they're going to be engaged in what they want to do in their care. And then just get them engaged in activities, whatever that is. And if it's to create a little schedule so that you can keep accountable, they can keep accountable, that you're doing positive things for them. Another thing that we've had at the houses and I've done here with my staff, it's called Sven Flippy. It's a fun little game that it just asks questions. It says explore anywhere, connect with anyone, spark new ideas. So it's just a fun card that you can pull out with a kiddo and you could say to them, discover what makes your heart sing, then take at least one action to capture that feeling. That's a small one. There's stuff about connecting. Find your little favorite treat and buy two, one for you and one for someone else, ideally a stranger. So, it's just another way to connect with them and kind of share with them your background and your ideas and kind of where you come from. And it's just like a fun little challenge. Teens like a challenge too. So those are just some small ways that we at JMC help kiddos feel comfortable in their new environment. But, if there's any specific ways you want to talk about, reach out. Talk to us. JMC is not, this is not a secret. We want to provide people with every possible support we can. in every step of the way, whether that's welcoming, keeping them engaged. There's sometimes that honeymoon period. Once you start, welcoming a kid into your home, they seem really great. And then some tough behaviors come because some tough traumas come up. And we want to help you through that part of the process too. It's not just the beginning, not just the placement of it, but all parts of this process. And, one of the toughest steps that people talk about when they talk about doing this work is that last step. One step that people are skeptical of is welcoming a kiddo into their home that they know they might leave. And Dr. John here does a great job of talking about that. So let's check back in with him.
So many people say to me, Dr. John, I couldn't do what you do. It would hurt too much to get those kids back. And my response is this: that is exactly how it's supposed to be. That's exactly how it's supposed to be for a foster parent. Children in foster care need stability, they need security, but what they need more than anything else is for somebody to love them with all of our hearts, so that when they do leave, for whatever reason it might be, when they do leave, yes, our hearts break. It's like losing a member of my family. It's like losing my own child. Foster parents experience feelings of grief and loss. And I have cried buckets and buckets over the years for these children. But I think that's a wonderful gift. I think that's a gift because my tears, my heartbreak, I might be the first person as a foster parent who has ever loved this child with so much so that when they do leave, I'm giving them a gift of my heart. That broken heart might be that child. I might be the first person who's ever cried for that child, who's ever grieved for that child. And that is a gift.
That is so true. There is so many kids that come in that just haven't been loved by an adult or haven't had true caring. And I love what he has to say there. Sorry, I just see that comment. Hey, Crystal, thanks for joining in. She's great. She gives her whole heart to these kiddos too. Crystal's an amazing staff that supports us in all realms of JMC. If you've tuned in to our newsletter, how awesome she is. Miss her every day. I'm hanging out here at the office and I don't get to be out there with the kiddos. But it's so true. The thing that John says is that it's really giving a piece of your heart to them and showing that they're worthy of love. And it's really not about, parenthood's not about parents. It's about the children and bringing the best for them. So really the fear that you have, it's only because your heart is so much in it. This is good work. This is such good work because it is hard work. There's always a village at your back. JMC is a village at your back. There's other communities, people in the community, like Compelled to Care has a single mom's night out and a coffee mom's date. So I think the single mom's night out is this next Wednesday. And the coffee mom's date is, I think, is this Saturday at 9. And then I think there's a dad's night out that Saturday as well. So they have all kinds of, already there's a community built around this area that supports foster families. And they know how important this work is and how hard it is to give that piece of your heart to a child in need. Support is here. We just need you, ultimately, you as the parent. So I'm just going to end off with this last section here. Dr. John does a great job of just showing ways that you can be involved in supporting foster children. So let's tune in.
I understand this. Not everybody can be a foster parent. I get it. It's the hardest thing I've done, most rewarding thing I've done, and every child has made me a better person in some way, but it's tough. Not everybody can be a foster parent, but I do know this to be true. Every one of us can help a child in foster care in some way. You could become a court-appointed special advocate, a CASA, a volunteer program to help kids in foster care. You could supply school supplies and a backpack filled with hygiene items and stuffed animals and a blanket those first few nights of placement. You can provide new shoes and new clothing. You can provide, you can be a mentor or a tutor to these children. You can teach them important social and living skills before they age out of the system. But each of us can help a child in foster care, and that's just a few of the ways. Now, to be honest, I can't change the world. And you can't change the world. But for these children that you choose to help, for these children, their world is changed. Their world is changed. And years from now, that child that you helped, they may not remember your name. Years from now, that child you helped, they may not remember your face. But years from now, they'll remember this. That for a time in their life, and maybe the only time in their life, somebody cared about them. Somebody loved them. And that's how we help bring healing to children in crisis. And that is how we help children in foster care. Because right now, right this very minute, there's a child who lives near where you live, who is hoping and maybe praying, please, somebody help me.
And I just love how much passion that Dr. John DeGarmo speaks with. It really inspires me. And it's so true. There's so many options to support foster kiddos. He did just name a few. We have people that come out and teach yoga to our girls. We have a women's health nurse that comes out and talks about, the things that their parents might not have talked to them about, their bodies, their health. We have a few people that do pro-social skills, learning about how to be the best advocate for yourself in the market and the job place. We've had supports come out and do that, or just talk with our kiddos on Zoom. So there are so many options. There's really no excuse not to get involved if you really care and you want to be a part of this mission. So reach out. Let us know what we can do to support you getting to this next place. Contact us right here, jmckids.com. Reach out an email, fosters@jmckids.com. You can call our phone number right here at the bottom of the screen, or just reach out to me. If you liked what I had to say and you want to talk to me some more, jkent@jmckids.com. Or you can just find any of our staff here at jmckids.com. We'd love to hear from you, hear what your passion is, and how you can welcome a kid into this scary and this traumatic experience that is unfortunately being placed in a new spot. It's tough, but we really have the supports to make it possible for you, for this kiddo, and for everyone to succeed. So thank you everyone who tuned in either right now or afterwards. I love the work I do. I love working for JMC. It's because we ultimately are a village of people that all come together to love the kiddos in our community. So thank you everyone who tuned in. Reach out to us. Let us know how you want to help impact foster kiddos, and I'll be speaking to you soon. Thank you.